MH&U. Mama Helen and you. Mama Helen and you. Mama Helen and you. Well, this is the Mama Helen and you all the way from Warri, Nigeria. Oh my God, I am really happy. And I actually thought somebody was going to go into really grooving with me. Dancing, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, anyway, if you're just joining us, it is still Mama Helen and you. And of course, 21st century learning is totally different from the stone age of learning. So many things are happening today that would definitely inform you on the need to do something about creating a conducive environment for our children. So that at the end of the day, we can be proud of them tomorrow. It is the investment of today that will showcase what they did today. So on Mama Helen and you today, we actually want to look into a topic that talks about what schools need to have in preparing our children education. Well, on Mama Helen and you, back in a moment. Welcome back to Sustain Mama Helen and you, all the way from Warri, Nigeria today. I am excited. I don't know about you. Why? Because, talk about our tomorrow. If we do not do everything necessary, providing a good, quantitative and qualitative education for our children, then we'll fail. We've not only failed as parents, but we've also failed our children. And of course, we do not want to fail. Hence, why we're having this program today on Mama Helen and you, all the way from Warri, Nigeria. With me to deliberate on this topic is no other person right for my first right, Barrister Mrs. Rume Bakpa Aro Pere.
Yes, you can
That was almost going to twist my tongue. It's just like my name, okay? Yeah. Orishi Jaffa. People also sometimes gaps when they call that. Anyway, Barrister is a chief magistrate, and I know she will be able to tell us on how she's been able to become what she is today. Excited about that? Next to her is no other person than Professor Mrs. Benedicta Ogisi, Dean of School of Postgraduate Studies, Delta State University, Abra. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, ma'am.
Having you back again on Mama Helen and you. We're actually looking at the topic, what schools need in preparing students for today. Now, the first question is, what does it mean to prepare?
To prepare means, for me, to prepare means to be in a state of readiness.
Fantastic. I love that.
To be able to meet all that is thrown at you, exactly. Whether you're expecting it or not. Yes. I am a guide, and our motto is be prepared.
Be prepared.
So anytime, anywhere you can be called upon to do anything at any time. So you must always be in a state of readiness.
Of readiness. Always be in a state of readiness. Would you want to say something? Being a typical teacher.
I would say that to be prepared is when you are in a state of mind. It's a mental preparation.
That is it.
Where you have a mindset to deliver on every expectation. And when you are in that state of mind, opportunities don't pass you by.
That's true.
Because you recognize opportunities in a state of preparedness.
It's true.
Fantastic.
Very true.
Recognizing opportunities in the state of preparedness, or having a ready mind and being well situated for the now challenge. I love this. This is real, you know what I mean? This is good. I mean, I love this. I'm loving this already. Now, we look at our education system in Nigeria, and sometimes I sit back and I say, God,
What's happening?
what is this? We can do better than this.
A lot.
What do you think?
Well, my mother was what we call a typical teacher, educationist, disciplinarian, everything. So, coming from that kind of background, knowing what was expected or what is expected of a child who's supposed to be in school, of a child who's attending a school, and the kind of school you attend. If I marry that with what I see now, sometimes I grieve. Because, to be very frank and sincere, the kind of people that you see coming out of the universities these days are not. Some of them, they will. I'm sorry, Professor. I'm very sorry. All of your apologies. I'm really sorry, but it's not. Exactly, because I have done lots of interviewed people for jobs in my own, and so imagine somebody coming to tell you, how has your day been? Has you okay?
Oh God Almighty!
I mean, this is a graduate, and she was supposed to be a teacher in English. She got.
Is it okay?
Yes.
Oh Jesus!
Has it okay? And someone will tell me, may him rest in peace.
Oh God!
And I will ask, can you correct yourself? Ma'am, has him
Rest in peace.
Yes.
Simple.
And you're teaching a class. So what do you impact on the children? And when I checked his certificate, he had a distinction in English language. I'm talking seriously. I'm not making up this story.
No.
I have seen it, and I have seen it. And with all due respect, whether it's the children, whether it's the teachers, I don't know what's happening, but something is happening. Something is wrong.
All right, well, I know you're a prof, and obviously you want to jump ahead immediately, but but in looking at things in retrospect, I mean, being sincere as a mother, besides being a prof,
Yes.
what is happening to us?
Thank you, Mama. I would say I won't jump at her because as
Thank
a
you.
magistrate,
Thank you.
if I jump at her, I might not be able to get myself out of that problem. So I would reserve my anger. But on a serious note, I think the falling standards is so much, and it's not just in education. It's in every sector and every segment of the nation,
Thank you.
of the economy.
Thank you.
Falling standards in health, falling standards in education, falling standards in infrastructure, and what have you. But one of the areas that the standards have fallen so badly is in public or government institutions and schools
Yes.
and universities.
Yes.
And if you look at it, some of the core values that are returning in the private initiatives.
That's true.
They are returning in the private initiatives where people know that they have a commitment and they have a duty to impact on children. And then the foundation, again, when we are blamed at the university level for turning out people who cannot speak English properly or who cannot write properly. But the fault is not ours. It started from the foundation. And that is why when the foundation is destroyed, what can the righteous do? So we need to go back to the foundation.
Basics.
Everyone from home. Parents are also not home again to even ask the child, what were you taught?
So check homework.
Nobody's asking them. I'm from church, I'm running to market, from market, I'm running to meeting, from meeting, by the time the mother comes home, is there any food for me? The mother is sleeping on one chair, the children are sleeping on one chair, you wake up at 2 a.m., wake up, go to bed, wake up, go to bed. The next day, the cycle continues. And then we find that the foundation is no more there. Nobody's asking them. And then this is what is happening. So all of us have a part to play, and we need to go back to basis. And I feel one of the way out is the private and Christian institutions.
Thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic. And then this is actually addressing it as it is, you know, in the real sense of it. Now, if we are to address the issue, because you know, you kind of broaden the spectrum in terms of, you know, I mean, standards, you know, that is followed in our sector, whether it is economical, you know, in other areas of life. Now, if we had to address some of these issues, apart from the fact that our government might encourage private sectors getting more involved in education and all that stuff, what can we do? Public sector.
What can we do as a nation,
as
parents?
As a nation. I do not want to look at the private sector. I want to look at the public sector. In other words, our government-oriented schools. How do we inject life back into this? Because you see, if we have to look at things holistically, I mean, like the teacher you once referred to, graduated, of course, no one used to tell you that something went on in his or her primary school days, education.
Yes.
Something that, because you know, because that's where you pick up on sounds. You're taught sound, and so on. You know, and if someone is not exposed properly,
can I come in here a little?
Okay.
You know, when I was growing up,
okay,
when we were being taught the ABC, we were not taught with sounds.
Okay.
We're taught A for apple, B for boy, C for cat. But now our children are learning.
You are young.
And our children are learning.
You are young.
I know, but even at that, we're not taught. I wasn't taught it because I went to another primary school. I went to Federal Government College, Warri. But the thing is, but now my children are learning Annie Apple, bear, Bouncy Bear, Clever Cats, you know, Dippy Duck and all that. Those are the sounds. They don't learn the alphabet. So, and these are the modern ways, which are coming in now. And the modern ways and the old ways are like this.
Okay, apart.
Now, and for I found out that these phonetic sounds and the sound of teaching the alphabet, they make it easy on the children to be able to read, to pronounce, and blend. So, if you're talking about how
taking it from that level, what do we do? You know,
we need to go. Sorry to cut you, Mama.
Because it's not everyone that can afford to send their children
to private schools.
And so meaning that we need to get it right.
That's what I'm saying. So we need the teachers, because the government, you know, the government teachers have this lackadaisical attitude towards their work. So they, you know,
Does it have to do with?
It has to do with what's happening.
Remuneration?
Remuneration? No, because when I was growing up, I went to a public school, and the teachers then, they were still low. They were not they were still had the same low salaries, but they were still committed to work. Okay. So, like what our prof has been saying, it's a whole crop of little things entering everywhere.
But we have to pick it up from somewhere.
So from somewhere, we need to go back to the basics.
Okay. Go back to the basics.
Go back to the basics.
Okay, so how do we go back to these basics? Because, I mean, to be honest with you, I weep myself. You know, I happens to be here and there.
Thank you.
Okay, in the marketplace. And I interact. And sometimes I talk. You know, Pidgin English is almost
lingua franca.
You know, even someone might be speaking Pidgin to you, and the person feels is right. You know, I mean, there is spoken English is correct. It might even start correcting you that is speaking correctly because it's not
exactly
because of the exposure. I mean,
I know.
it's that backward. So, where do we start?
Well, I would say that there has to be a redefinition of national values.
Fantastic.
That is it.
Because you see an American, no matter how small, he knows I'm an American and he's happy to be an American and is ready to make sure he contributes to national objectives. But in Nigeria, we don't have national objectives. It is me, myself,
My family.
and me and me and me. And if your family enters, if you're even sometimes they can separate wife and husband. No, this is not a women matter. It is me that has to do it. And I think that when there is a redefinition, there has to be also a retraining, because the people who are teaching, you can't give what you don't have.
Simple.
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 So until you have the stuff, like in the ministry, you can't teach on healing when you don't know about healing. You can't teach about salvation when you don't know salvation.
Yes.
You can't teach about baptism of the Holy Ghost when you don't have the experience.
Awesome.
So when our teachers, many of them have been taught using the old methods.
That's it.
And then there is frustration in the system, because some teachers now are even scared to teach, because you enter class and your students you are supposed to teach are ahead of you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome.
So instead of going to teach,
I love that.
you go to sell shoes, sell bags during the time you're supposed to teach. So, but when these people are trained, if there's training and retraining, where people know that you have to go and learn, and which used to happen in those days. When our mothers were in teacher training, after some time you do teacher grade 2, then you do whether it's grade 3 first,
yes.
then grade 2, then grade 1. You teach for some time, you go back. Then when you go far, you get to Abraka College of Education to do another course. So there was always a refresher course that was keeping people excited, and when you learn something, you come back to want to practice. But now, nothing like that. So I think that when there's retraining, there will be some revitalization of our public sector.
Awesome. Okay, now before we start looking at how to offer a solution, perhaps we need to retrace our steps a little bit backward. Where and when did it go wrong?
For example, it will be a little bit difficult to say categorically this is where it went wrong. You know, it's over time. Children see, people look at is what they see and make more of an impact than what they hear. Now, if you see your role model, people they look up to as role models, people don't respect integrity anymore. People don't respect honesty. People don't respect truth.
Everything is about money.
Money. And they don't care how you get the money.
Just get it anyway.
So long as you have the money. You see people who are claimed ritualists or thieves, in quotes, who are being respected by the society, who are being given doctorate degrees by the society, who are being, thank you, Mama, who are being given honorary degrees. And children say like this, but rather they see the so-called teacher with his shoes that used for trekking, that is so dusty, and they would yes, because at the end of it all, you see, and these teachers are not given the respect they deserve, because they deserve more respect than all these so-called bourgeoisie, because they are the ones that brought them up. But you see a young boy driving past his old teacher, even splashing mud on him. It has happened. And it is still happening. And the society respects that boy. Now tell me, if a child is growing up, who will he aspire to be? The teacher with the tattered shoe or the thief with the flashy car?
Something has gone wrong with our value system.
For example,
we've missed it.
Yes. Mom, like in my court, I see every day and I weep in my heart. they bring juveniles, children of 14, 13, 16, 17 who have committed murder. At that age, they already have blood on their hands. There was a particular boy, even as I'm thinking about him, I want to weep. He was brought to my court. And with all due respect, Professor, this boy, if you see him, you will love him. You will love him. His name was Tobori. He's 18. What did he do? He used a cutlass on his dad and opened up the dad's head.
His own dad.
His own father. Let me ask you, and so the father, the policeman that brought him was ranting and raving. Because the father was on the point of death. Obviously, the head had opened. Why? Ice fish. I'm giving you a true life story, reality. Now, and I asked Tobori, why did you do it? My papa dropped my mom come for house. They come marry this small girl. Every my papa would know they look my face. You saw they look the girl face. They give her money and they hungry. No food for the house. So out of frustration. So that day I said, what happened that you used the collar? And that day, my papa made they give me fish. How they will give you and the woman born? Oh, they get fish. Me no get. Every day they sleep with hunger. So now the penalty for murder or manslaughter, if the father does not die, manslaughter is death. So tell me, at age 18, the boy's destiny had already been sealed.
Truncated.
Because I don't blame the boy, the society, the values, the parents. Okay, how do you rehabilitate? Or where do you start from? Many of them, they join cults, 17, 16. Now the penalty for cultism now is death. Yes. Now, even if you are 14, 15, 16 years, it's them as kidnapping.
If it's confirmed.
Yes, if you're able to prove your case.
Fantastic.
That's good.
If you're able to prove your case. Now, when children of 16, 17, 14 are arraigned before you, all 10, and they join a call they call velvet brazier. Boys.
Lord Jesus, did you...
That is the name they chose to call their cult. And now they are caught with pickaxes, pistols, shotguns, cut to size, axes, knives, cutlasses, and some had already been initiated with tattoos on their bodies. And these are children who are in school. JSS 3, SS1, JSS 3, SS1, JSS 3, SS1. Teachers who teach in public schools will bear me out. Some teachers are afraid to enter their class because these boys could rape a teacher, they could kill a teacher, they could threaten a teacher in the public schools. So when you say, Mama, that we need to retrain, it's not just for the teachers. We need to retrain our own psyche, our own thinking. From the government. Don't just put down laws and say if you do this, it is this, do this, it is this. They are extenuating circumstances. There are always reasons. Environments dictates how the children end up.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm a mother, so I'm shaking.
Yes.
I know.
You really have to.
I know.
Just
you really have to. You really have to.
And it's so much is taken. So much is. In any case, we're trying to look for a solution, and I want to believe that we will be able to
get a solution.
Amen.
Now, lastly, she mentioned that somehow we derailed in the area of violence. What are other things, or perhaps you might want to mention? Because you see, in retracing your steps in life, you have to be able to know what happened to being able to navigate yourself back on course. Something happened, something snapped in this country. And ever since then, we've been having series of ministers in education coming up with different policies and all that, just to bring us back. without having to address the what are those things?
Yes, thank you, Mama. One thing I know is that there is more lip service to many policies.
Thank you. Well spoken.
There are pronouncements without implementation.
Thank you.
There are strategies without monitoring.
That is it.
Nobody is making sure that what is pronounced in Abuja, how does it get to Asaba? How does it leave Asaba to the smallest village? Who is to report? No reporting system. The teachers are on their own suffering.
That's true.
One principal told me that they were told to produce question papers and that they were going to give them the money for producing question paper. But it's now history, because by the 29th, government has changed. The debt that they are owing they will have to find a way to jack the students.
Yes.
No, you can't pay it yourself, because the question papers were produced for the students, which is supposed to have been done by the ministry, and ministry said, go ahead, produce the question paper, and we will refund. Now that they did not refund, the teachers might have to go back to jack the students and say, if it is 1,000, come and pay for your question paper.
And that's where you start having.
That's where you start having problems, because the student who came to a public school expected that education was free. And you have pronounced from somewhere that education was free. But it's no more free. So there's nothing free in Freetown. And one of the things I remember very well is that some of this decadence started with this free education. When the free education came in, I think about 1980, I can't remember.
No.
When it came in, it was pronounced books is free, this is free, that is free, that is free. And then there is no follow-up, no money is given to anybody. You declare it as free.
To
run the system, no money.
No money, and yet it's declared free.
It's declared free. And then the students come to school to say it's free. And the principal said, no, it's not free. You need to...
No. What you don't know now is that you have just solved a major problem. On Mama MH&U. Now that we know where we missed it, let us hope that we can get it back again.
Lord Jesus, you know, when looking below, it was now that man, fighting and killing, violence and cries. Lord, for my sake, teach me to take one day at a time. Oh, one day at a time. Sweet Jesus, that's all I'm asking from you.
Still on Mama Helen.
Well,
I was discussing with the young people, and I said, what would you want to become when you grow up? And I said, for instance, you want to be a professor, you want to be a teacher, you want to be a pastor, you want to be this, all the work, engineer, medical doctor. As I was counting, they were staring at me. Nobody was answering. And when I got to the end of the line, I said, sorry, what do you want to be? One put up his hand and said, a politician.
We'll be back again next time on Mama MH&U.